Welcome back. I'm Andrew, your crypto guy on the internet. And today I want to show you why Bitcoin holders are in a really good spot right now. Now, up close, things are a little shaky, and I'll explain why. But then long term, I mean just over the next year, things are looking potentially incredible for Bitcoin based on one big chart, the DXY. This is the US dollar currency index. It's kind of like the buying power of the dollar compared to other major world currencies, okay? And right now, the dollar is strong, okay? We're at a little over exactly 100. But like any other chart, what goes up must come down, right? And usually the dollar doesn't go too crazy. It moves up and down by, about 10% within this range. You have certain moments and times where things really bad. This was 2008, the financial crash. Okay, we recovered through artificial money printing, right? Who cares? What's important is the dollar versus Bitcoin and how they behave compared to each other. So this is Bitcoin's weekly chart, and this is the dollar. All right, so let's look at some examples of how things tend to react to each other. So let's say January 2017. Dollar was real strong, was peaking at 103. January 2017. But then for a whole year, it went down. All the way to January of 2018. Okay, down to from 103 to like 88. So January to January 2017 to 2018. Let's see what Bitcoin was doing then. This is crazy. Okay, January 2017, Bitcoin was at like 800 bucks. And over the next year, exactly 1 year, January 2018, there we go. We're at, what is this? $15,000. From $800 to $15,000 in 1 year. The exact opposite of how the dollar was moving. So when the dollar is strong, Bitcoin weakens. But when the dollar is weak, Bitcoin explodes in value. Let's look at another example. So we have March of 2020 to December of 2020. What's going on with Bitcoin? Where is it? January 2020. Not much of a move. We went from $7,100 to, what was the end of 2020? Oh my. Oh no. Big move. Big move. All the way to December up to $36,000. So we went from, what was that, 7,000 to 36,000? On this move of the dollar going down about 10%. Now, we do have one moment in time that I can see where things were unusual, and that's when we printed 10 years worth of money in 1 year to bail us out from the COVID problem. So here, this is the only time I can see where when the dollar went up, so did Bitcoin, and that's because everything was going up due to all the free fake money. So May, June 2021 until now, May, June 2021. All right. Everything was down. And then, where did Bitcoin go? It went from 33,000. We went up because all the free money was good. And then the reality of, wait, this is all a paper tiger. This is a bubble. This is fake. Then Bitcoin came back down to a more reasonable level. And we've been hanging out around the 40s ever since. Now, you'd think, since the dollar has been going straight up on the DXY, Bitcoin should just be going straight down. But instead it went up, it came back about, halfway and has been hanging out here. That's because there are other forces at work now. It's not just a bunch of goons on the computer. You're getting billionaires buying it and not selling it. So it's got some of its own legs under it now. So what's going on in the near future, if you look at down here at Market Cipher, if I can move this damn thing. A lot of money flow and momentum going into the dollar's strength on the DXY. the dollar should, at this rate, get all the way up to 103. That spells short-term bad news for Bitcoin. And if you look here, we still have that blood diamond on the weekly. Now, I'll get into that later of how we can get rid of this. But, you know, assuming the DXY continues up to its previous highs that it normally falls from, let's say 103, Bitcoin will probably fall into the mid to low 30s. It could come down about here, 33K, which is initially scary. But what happens when the dollar gets up here? It starts going down again for about a year. Probably fall about 10% or so. Just like any other chart, you know, what goes up comes down. And even though the dollar on the Dixie only goes 10% down, how far do you think Bitcoin will jump up this time? Now, the last two times, what did we go, $800 to $36,000, from $30,000 up to $68,000? Huge gains. Now, percentage-wise, the gains are getting smaller on each of these major bull runs. But even with that considered, this next one could be huge. So let's look at this blood diamond. I noticed something. There's a very specific number where the blood diamond goes away, and it's $40,600. Now, this weekly closes tomorrow night, the day of Jesus' resurrection. So when Jesus comes back, we need him to bring Bitcoin up with him, okay? So we need Bitcoin to hit $40,600 to get rid of this blood diamond on the weekly. But either way, this is really tied to what the Dixie's going to do. And it looks like it's coming in hot and ready. So if this hits 103, great for the dollar and its international buying power, but then Bitcoin's going to take a short-term hit. But then after that, for those who DCA at this moment, when it starts falling down here, DCA and hang on, baby, because this next year, if it's anything like how it's been, Bitcoin could explode yet again. So where does all this extra market cap come from, right? It can't just be things are worth $1 million all of a sudden. It has to be based on real money. And if you're looking at the tiny amount of retail investors that we currently have, based on its timeline, it's kind of like the internet's user base in 1993. Like, yeah, we had some people, but most people didn't use the internet yet. It looks like Bitcoin's in that same stage of early adoption. But with cryptocurrency regulatory clarity coming along, assuming the United States doesn't mess that up, I mean, they want to make money on this too, right? When they see the dollar go down, which it always does, it goes down and up like anything else. You know, we got politicians that are hanging on to Bitcoin. They want to make a ton of money on this move as well. So they're probably going to, we need them to carve out the regulatory clarity to where it allows for this explosion of value, but also taxes it a little bit, enough to keep it in its lane, but so everybody gets rich. Even the politicians, you and me, everybody should make money on this new technology, okay? But really what happens, and how this would make sense, is if the regulations kick in and they're good, then you get a Bitcoin ETF, which brings in the real money, the institutional money. That's how you have Vanguard and BlackRock putting trillions of dollars into Bitcoin. And then that bell curve, that explosion of value that usually happens, would be the biggest one yet. And that's why I think Bitcoin holders are in a real good spot here. So when Bitcoin goes down on this next little, we're in the 30s, don't panic. Because this is your last chance to jump in at a decent price before we really explode on this next DXY movement. Compound that with regulatory clarity, with a Bitcoin ETF, institutions jumping in. Holy cow, guys. This could be the opportunity of a lifetime.